Lady Gaga. This might be easy. Lady Gaga or Taylor Swift.
Oh no, that's a setup.
Hey, you asked. You're in the hot seat. You got to do it.
Oh my gosh. I'm gonna say late.
Welcome to the most overrated, underappreciated, most viewed, underviewed podcast of all time. Welcome to the Prince of Fresh Air. I'm of course your host, the beloved, the most charismatic man in entertainment, Jason Momoa. I'm calling you out again. You're still in my roles, but that's not what this interview is about. That's not what this conversation is going to be about because it's not about me. It's about my next guest. Now, you might be wondering, who am I talking to today? Well, no need to fear. The most charismatic man is here to introduce my lovely guest. Now, she is a mother. She's a businesswoman, a rental property owner, first time political candidate in 2024, and is gearing up for her run in the 2026 Minnesota statewide political run. She's also, she went viral on TikTok, and we're going to discuss all that. And she got her psychology BA from the University of Minnesota. She's hardworking. It's always nice to talk to people, especially women who are up there, putting their names out there and making sure that their name leaves a legacy. So please help me welcome Marisa Simonetti.
Thanks, Percy. That was so sweet.
I tried. I look. I this is not about average here. We going straight to the top. So but enough about me. Let's talk about you. Let's first off, there's a lot of things I want to discuss with you, but I want people to get to know you, right? And I see, some of the comments that people leave, and it's all fun, but I think it's always nice to see who the person is behind the camera, the lights, and all that. So who is, I gave a little spiel about who you are, but who are you? How would you describe yourself?
Yeah, at my core, my personality, I'm a mama. I love being a mother. My son is 7. I'm a silly goose. We love to do our silly, cute little pranks on each other and laugh and have fun and really just enjoy life and go on adventures. And I love a good adventure. Who doesn't love a good adventure?
Not me. No, I'm kidding.
No? You're unconventional.
Yeah,
Adventure.
it all started when Tom Cruise denied me access to his private jet. So now I'm just simple man. I just want to be left alone. No, I'm just kidding.
Tom's
Um,
biggest regret in his life was that moment.
oh, I truthfully, I've met a lot of people who have names, recognition, and stuff, and it's one of those things. I'm not really starstruck often. The only person that will ever give me like that is Denzel Washington, but that's a conversation for a whole nother day. It's not about me, it's about you. So
What do you love about Denzel? Real quick, I'm curious.
that man is, I'm classically trained like him. I come from theater. And now transitioning over in TV and film. I started because I watched Denzel as a kid. And I mean, the dude just knows how to chew up a scene. Like it don't matter how short, how long, if he's the major player or if he's just supporting. Like there's very few people you can watch and they just steal the show every single time. I've never seen a bad Denzel performance. And I think that's the consensus amongst most people is that dude just hits it out the park like nobody else, So there's always going to be a debate. Some people think Will Smith or whatever, but that Denzel, is my goal. But enough about me. This is about you. So let's get right into it. Let's talk about this viral video that you had with Josh Lou J on TikTok. Now you sent it to me and I got to watch it, and it resonated for me because I worked at a soup kitchen in college for 4 years, and I got to meet a lot of people who were lesser than. So just a little backstory about it for people who don't know, and just give a little context on how that came about.
Yeah, so my friend owns the pizza business and he texted me one morning and was like, "Hey, me and a friend are going to go hand out pizzas to the homeless. You want to join us?" I was like, when you have a free afternoon, you're like, "Hey, that'll be something actually really nice." So I said, I didn't know Josh Little J, right? So I just show up. We're just handing out pizzas to homeless. They're like, okay, we'll do this, do that. And I'm like, okay, do it. Da, 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 da. 2 weeks later, I start getting messages. I saw your videos. I'm like, what's going on? And so people were sending it, and I clicked, and I was like, oh, I think he's at like 9 million on TikTok now. I had no idea. And it just really opened my eyes to how much people really want kindness and giving back and serving the community. Like, it just resonates. So you probably experience like those moments in time where you're like, this is the way, right? Like, this is the right direction, and you use that to kind of formulate your thoughts moving forward, and start to let the thoughts flow of what you might go and you might do. It's really beautiful to give back.
Yeah. Were you shocked by how viral it went? Because oftentimes in this society, it seems like the things that go viral is the stupid stuff, the stuff that's a little more outlandish. But for you to do such a good act, it's not usually seen in a positive light. Most people just brush it off. But
Yeah.
were you surprised by the amount of well-received feedback that it got?
Well, I think the top comment was, I usually skip this part.
I didn't want to say. You
gotta laugh, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm active, I'm young, and so it's funny, right? Like, you notice with social media, it's like it's almost a competition to have the funniest, most off the cuff, most liked comment.
Yeah.
It's funny, and it gives you a feeling of like kind of what everyone's thinking. So I'll tell you, I just read through the comments, and it was a hoot. I was laughing so hard. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. So you know what? Let's talk about this, because I oftentimes for me, I want to be transparent, have like real conversations, right, through the laughs and the jokes. So I do want to ask you about that. Right before we connected and stuff, I actually watched a video, and I watched the comments even before we started recording, right? And there are a lot of comments. You're a beautiful woman, but a lot of people seem to think, have an idea of you that isn't. Is that something that you struggle with, especially now being in the public eye?
During my first 2024 campaign, because it was my first time running and ever having any public visibility, you have to learn to get comfortable. You're like, no, this is myself. I know me. And they tell you, if one person tells you you look like a horse, disregard. If 5 people tell you, go buy a saddle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you use those things to retool. Sometimes criticisms actually can kind of be helpful, especially if they're in a cluster. And it's like, okay, what's it going to take for me to be a better version of myself? And sometimes you're just like, all right, well, you're just a rude person, right? So it's been, to be semi-permeable, it's been an interesting experience. So I know myself, and I love to laugh along with the comments and some of it, right? And just play, have fun with it. But I will say, things that are just cruel or mean or degrading, I don't entertain any of that. I mean, when someone's just trying to be disrespectful, and no,
Yeah.
I
100% agree with that. And I think that's, unfortunately, that's a reality when you're, a professional woman. You're going to have to deal with, especially if you're in the public eye, you're going to have to deal with those comments. So for you, how do you deal with it, right? And I know that, you know what you look like, that, people are going to view you in a certain way. How do you navigate that, especially now going to, the top part of politics? How do you kind of figure out how to, kind of lean into a little bit, but not also let it guide who you are, as not just as a mother and a professional woman, but, in politics as well?
Yeah, well, nobody ever really wants to say anything to my face. Because I'm a spicy Italian, and they know, like, I'll just give it right back, and it's going to be funny, right?
Right.
So, if someone has a real problem with me or a genuine concern, they'll come and speak to me directly. And if someone's just interested in like being slanderous or disrespectful, they're going to take a different approach. So you use these things to pay attention to who do you really have in your corner, and who's who. And it's just a learning experience. So,
Yeah.
what are you going to do?
It comes with the territory, it's I get the comments sometimes. I've done videos on public on popular YouTube channels, and I read the comments and people, oh, this dude ugly or whatever, and I'm just kind of like, it is what it is. You just learn how to roll with it, and especially for you, you're in a very hard, career path, quote unquote. And so you're going to have to learn how to have thick skin and take things and let things roll off that isn't important, right? So enough about the looks, because I don't want this to be about about that. So let's move on a little bit. I can see the comments already. I'm a prophet. I see it.
Amen. Speak.
Yeah, yeah. So let's get into what made you get into politics. Like, what was maybe was there a moment in your life that made you think that this something that you would like to do, or was it something as a kid that you always envisioned? Like, what made you get into politics?
I never saw it for myself. But last year around this time, I was having a conversation with a friend about some things that I saw in the community, and this friend works in elections. And it just casually came up. Well, how do you run for office? What does it take? Oh, do you need this? Do you need that? I was like, huh, like either I could like keep complaining about these things or I could do something. And when you have that pull, you're like, I'm supposed to go and do this, but you don't know anything about it and you don't know why.
Right.
It was the weekend before the deadline, actually, for the special election. It happened to be in the area that I lived in, which is a requirement. You got to live in the area. And I was like, I'm supposed to go and do this. So I took my affidavit of candidacy, and I was one of 6 candidates and primaried. I spent less than $750, and I beat someone who spent $71,000 on purpose, because I don't think you should be able to buy justice and you should not be able to buy public office. Those like are core values to me. And then I wound up losing the special election by 1,000 votes in the final runoff as a candidate who nobody knew from several weeks before. So it's like, I can do this. So
Yeah.
that's how it got started. It was a gut feeling, and I think it was the right one.
Yeah, so to answer your question, I think, social media plays a huge part. We're seeing, older people now on it, and we're seeing a lot of people create content, have brands, make a lot of money on social media. And I think the key part about social media, despite all the negativity, is that you get to connect with multiple people. And yeah, there's always going to be pros and cons to everything. Yeah, the comments might be ruthless. People might not like you, so they take it out on your comments. They DM you nasty stuff. But I think in this society right now, I think social media plays a huge part, because I wouldn't be where I am with the podcast without social media. To a certain degree, acting wise, it's helped me, reach new people, meet new agents, meet new, other fellow entertainers, right? So I think it's very important, and I think you just have to be. Unfortunately, you have to be careful using it, because you can't read every comment. You can't say certain things before people, try to make you a headline. And I think for you, especially being in politics, that's probably one of the, it's going to be something you might face. But I'm curious, how has your social media journey been so far in your career path?
Yeah. I think with social media, because you can get so much visibility, it's really important to know what you do and what you don't do, and to stay within your brand. And to also create like a wholesome, sustainable, long-term brand, because some of the stuff will follow you around for a long time. So, as a mother, and I've made different missteps along the way, and it's like that real-time feedback of you're like, oh, reel it back a little bit, right?
Right.
And that's part of the learning curve. And I think the universe actually protects you by not letting you get too far along until you've got to a certain like knowledge of this, of how you want to present yourself.
Yeah. So, for you, what if you can look 10 years from now? What is your goal? Like, is there something that if you had to choose one issue, it could be climate change, it could be, whatever you choose. What
Yeah.
is one issue if you feel like you can solve in an instant? What would it be?
Uh, I would love to see every child have at least one person in their life that they trust and that they can go to.
Yeah.
That would make a huge difference for generations.
Yes, 100%. I think that's one of the that's an issue that gets overlooked. It's definitely something that a lot of people don't really think of in the grand scheme of things. They always think about me, they think about my family, they think about what I can gain. And I think that's one of the most um I would say it's one of the nicest things about a lot of politicians that they have a message and something that they're fighting for. But unfortunately, there's always going to be people in power or chasing something that is not really using it to service other people. Is usually kind of to benefit them. But um, that actually leads me to a couple topics I want to talk to. So, I told you before, I used to talk about politics all the time. So we're going to talk about some of the issues that are going on right now, and I want to get your thoughts on it because I often, see videos. People ask me about, the Trump administration getting rid of DEI and the implications of that. A lot of people are afraid generally. A lot of people don't like what's happening. And especially a lot of minorities don't really understand why. But I want to ask you your opinion on that. Do you think getting rid of DEI is going to be a benefit to our society?
It's hard to know if a specific program will ever solve the issue of treating people with kindness and respect no matter what they look like.
Yeah.
And that at its core, it seems like that's what DEI wanted to do. It's like, no, like I'm a human being, I have worth, treat me with kindness and respect. And that, if we can remove a particular organization and still do that, that's great. If that falls to the wayside or things get worse, like I'm here in Minneapolis where we had the George Floyd thing going on.
Yeah.
Like right down, I could 20 to 25 minutes, I could drive and I could be right there. We had the third precinct burned down. Like we need some like more compassion for people and order and respect. And a lot of times, like people just maybe aren't sure quite how to get there because it's so much into the unknown.
Yeah. And you mentioned something about George Floyd. I want to touch on that just really quick because I've talked to a lot of people about this and I've done multiple episodes on that. But I never really talked to anybody who actually lived in that community. How was that time?
Yeah. There was a lot of like just like pain and frustration and resentment, which is like understandable because with the way the a lot of the media is, there's like this set of facts and there's this set of facts and people argue the facts and it's like so people feel so confused and like entrenched in a certain position that it's hard to maybe just sit with someone and be like, yeah, you like lost somebody that you care about.
Yeah.
And that's really hard. And if that were me, if that were my brother, my dad, my son, like I'd be upset too. Like if that were like I'm a mom to a little boy. If that were my son, I'd be furious.
Yeah.
So we've had a variety of different things and it's hard. How do we get back to like a good place? Is
Yeah.
what a lot of people, not everybody wants to get to a good place, but a lot of people do.
Yeah, yeah, it's I've seen the progress happening, and I mean I don't live there, but I've definitely seen over the last 3-4 years that things are starting to calm down a little bit. Tensions aren't as high. Well, politics speaking wise, it's always going to be high, but um, it just it is what it is. I'm not even going to get into that, but let's have some fun. We've been talking a lot about politics and all that stuff, and I'm sure I might circle back to it. But let's get to some fun things. Look, what is something that if someone looked at you, they would not guess? Maybe a hobby, a skill, a talent. If someone looked at you, what is something they would never guess that you enjoy, or just a fun fact about you?
So when I moved here to Minneapolis, I learned to Latin dance. And there's a lot of transplants in the Latin dance community. And everyone there was so welcoming and made me feel so at home. So I've learned salsa, bachata, merengue, kizomba, uh, all the styles.
Yeah.
And do you dance?
Oh yeah, I'm half Cuban, so salsa, merengue. Ooh,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Is
I
there?
taught Shakira how to dance. So,
You're
fun
kidding.
fact.
Did you
Yeah.
actually?
No, no, but she's older than me, so
Those hips are lying.
yeah. God forgive me. Oh yeah, she still got it at 50. Oh my God, she still got it. Still got it.
She's beautiful.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
But
Yes.
let me ask you about Latin dancing because I remember in college. I remember I went to college with predominantly white school, but I went to school with a lot of Hispanics and other minorities. And I remember one time freshman year we had a whole little thing at night where we just played Latin music, and a lot of the songs are 7+ minutes, and a lot of people was exhausted by minute three. So for you, was that something you had to learn? Was the stamina, the cardio that comes with it?
Yeah. It's easy with dance. It's harder as the lead. You're the lead.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. As a follow, like when you're getting spun around on the dance floor, it's like things could be combusting and you're just in the flow of the music. And it's so fun. So maybe it's a little easier. I will say though, you have to like be conscious of what you're wearing. And then sometimes afterwards, you're like, man, I'm really sweaty. It's a good
yeah,
workout.
yeah. They,
Yeah.
I'm surprised gyms don't have. Well, I know they're starting to, but they need more gym workouts with Latin dance because one, you got to learn the steps, and I've seen a lot of I've seen some horrible mistakes in my life, but I mean, even for me, I love Latin dance, but if it's a hot summer day, I'm gonna keep it light because I ain't trying to stink up the place. But
What's your favorite style of all the styles?
oh, that's a good question. Um, I like both salsa and merengue. I would say I'm probably a little more efficient in salsa.
Sure.
Um, but both, I mean, you get me on the dance floor, I tear it up. That's just how I do it. But it's I grew up with a lot of Hispanics, so I've learned the steps at an early age. I had a dance instructor when I was a kid and in high school, so I learned a lot of it, and both is challenging in their own way. But I think salsa might be a tad easier for new beginners, people who never done it. So
Okay.
I would say I'd rather do that if I'm dancing with someone who don't know how to dance. But I love both styles easily.
Yes. Who taught you to dance? Who was like that one person who you would look back and be like, this person?
Ooh, that's a good question. Cause honestly, I did a lot of it on my own, like watching Chris Brown videos, Michael Jackson videos.
Oh, I
I know,
love Chris Brown dance videos.
yeah, that you know, bringing his name up in 2025 caused an uproar. But
Yeah.
that dude is talented. He's amazingly talented. And when I was a kid, I had I don't remember her name, but she worked with Alvin Ailey. She worked with a lot of celebrities, and I know she was a dance instructor from Missy Elliott at one point. So I grew up dancing to Missy Elliott, Michael, Chris Brown, and high school. My dance instructor, I had a dance minor. That's when I started learning ballet. I wasn't good at it, but ballet, all the dance forms, and I think that is what helped me find two things. I doing a dance group with a lot of dudes who are mostly hip hop, but I had to learn how to memorize the steps, and I wasn't just freestyling like I usually did. So I would say high school was probably when I actually fine tuned the craft a little bit.
Yeah.
It's not easy. People think it's easy. Not everybody got that rhythm.
Well, they can find it. I didn't. I thought I had. I'll tell you, my first dance class, I used to be really shy. And I went to a class, never danced before here in the Twin Cities. After the lesson, first opportunity, I was out the door. Like it's a little insecure learning something new. You gotta like stick with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always say I think everybody should try acting because once you do, you kind of I feel like that self-awareness that come with, oh, I suck at this and I'm in a crowd of people. I need to get up out of here. I'm not like that anymore. It hasn't been like that for me since I was maybe like 22. I think that I have no problem with you know, messing up or making mistakes in front of people. I actually enjoy learning new skills because I think at some point you have to learn new skill anyway. So you're gonna have to mess up, learning something new anyway. So
That's
so what other hobbies? I saw your Instagram. I saw you, roller skating, and it brought back some flashbacks, some painful flashbacks that I had. Uh,
right.
h-
Wipeouts?
yeah, 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 yeah,
No.
yeah. Funny story. My brother, when we was in middle school, we used to go to Pennsylvania a lot because my aunt had a house there,
Where
and
in
we
the
used to
state? What city?
Strasbourg.
Okay.
Yeah. So we used to go to this roller skating thing, and we didn't go all the time, but that was the main spot as a kid. And my brother actually got his finger cut off from one of the I think it was the skate or a blade. I can't remember if he was ice skating or no, someone was doing the inline skates, and he
Oh,
fell. Someone ran over his finger, cut it off. So
there was just
yeah,
like a lone finger just lying on the
yeah,
floor. Oh,
horrible.
what?
Yeah.
How they reconnect it?
I was a kid. I think it was a lot of stitches, a lot of anesthesia, and yeah,
Who
it
picked
was
that
horrible.
up?
You saw what?
Who picked it up? Like who had this?
My mom did. Yeah, we will. The whole family was out on the rink. So when we saw that, it was. I mean, it's a good end to the story because after that happened, we went home. Everybody was shocked. He ate a big bowl of rice out of a big pot, and the rest is history. But yeah,
The rice.
yeah. I'll never forget. Yeah, that dude. Anyway, but yeah, I love roller skating, but I'm not exactly ready for road bounce stuff yet. So I'm still learning.
So anybody who's listening, if you ever have your finger decapitated, eat a bowl of rice
Yeah, with little red beans, a little ground beef, and you know,
and call it a day.
exactly. So what else gets you? Like what else motivates you? You know what? I remember you like playing tennis.
I do.
How's your backhand?
I have a two-handed backhand. Do you play?
I worked at a tennis facility, Sport Time. I don't know if you know of it. I know it's mostly popular in like Long Island area. I tried it, and yeah, I'm not Serena Williams. I'll say that.
It's like dancing. You gotta enjoy it and stick with it a little bit.
I think for me, like I'm athletic, but tennis, yeah, it's a lot of technique involved. I think if I dedicate maybe a year or two, I'll be serviceable. But I
Yeah.
I, I think you might be better because you might. I know you're definitely probably lighter on your feet than I am, so you might be able to get it and hit the ball a certain way. I feel like for me, I like it. I think I'd rather do what's that new sport everybody's doing? It's not
Pickleball.
pickleball. I'd rather do that. Keep it
Ah,
simple.
do you have a lot of pickleball courts in New York City? Is that taking the?
Yeah, and it's expensive to play. You wouldn't believe $200 an hour. Yep.
You're kidding.
Mm-hmm.
Is
Yep.
that like if four people play, then it's 50 an hour?
So if you did that, you obviously you divide it, but the courts itself most of the time is going to be per hour, no matter how many plays you got. So it's if you work at a job and they do corporate events, it's probably a nice little thing to do. But if you're an average person, it's
Yeah.
expensive.
No, if I wouldn't, we have to pay for indoor tennis court time here. It is not $200 an hour.
How much
Even
is it
not
over there?
I think it's like 31 an hour, and if you have four people, you split it, or yeah, totally different. We have pretty good cost of living here. It's expensive to be out where you are.
Yeah, yeah. I'm actually taking a little detour to Pennsylvania soon. Just because it's New York City is my home. I grew up here,
Yeah.
and New York and LA. I'm a city guy, but it's also like it's nice to have space. I love New York, I do, but unless you're a millionaire, it's
Yeah.
like living in a laundry room. It's ridiculous, but
Yeah.
that just it is what it is. But let me ask you about that. Since you're a politician, why don't you come to New York and change the laws? Come on, it's
Woo!
ridiculous.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of craziness everywhere. I'm for now like people have asked me, like, are you here to stay in Minnesota? Like, what's your intention? And my son goes to school here, and I've been here since 2013. I actually grew up in Pennsylvania. That's where I asked.
Oh, what part?
Right outside of Harrisburg, Camp Hill.
I'm not too familiar, but I know of Harrisburg. Yeah.
Okay. Are you more on the Pittsburgh side? Were you more?
Yeah, Pittsburgh side. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the whole other, like 3.5 hours away.
Whew.
Yeah. But like I'm here because my son's in school, and the stability of the same teacher, the same facility, friends, that's important to give to a child. So we're here in the community. We love our neighbors here, most of them. The ones we don't like, the ones we don't like, you started it.
Yeah, right. See, but I got to call you out for something. No, you should have stayed in Pennsylvania. You know why? Because now, if you would have stayed, you get Taylor Swift to support you. Game over. That's it. You're done. Now I'm kidding.
Taylor Swift?
Yeah, she's from Pennsylvania.
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, but I'm not a Swiftie. You know, I know they're gonna come after me. But I know she is from it's not Wingate. She's near, I think, Allentown or somewhere. I think she grew up in that area. Yeah. And you know that endorsement, The Rock, he grew up in Pennsylvania, so gotta move back. Yeah,
I guess I gotta reach out to Taylor Swift and The Rock.
I got you. I got him on speed dial. Don't worry about it.
I'd love to. Yeah, that would be so cool.
Yeah, Dwayne might be a little hard. I think he's a little salty about me calling him out so much. But
yeah. I'll talk about like his muscles. How about
exactly? You know, hey, I with the old and with the new. You know, that's how I look at it.
And I'll tell Taylor I've got a sad song she can write when her and Travis, if they haven't already split.
Don't go after the Swifties now. Don't do it. It'll be over before it started.
She was here in Minneapolis. My neighbors went to see her.
How was it? I know it gets packed. I know it gets packed.
Yeah. You know, I actually like her music. Like it's there some of it, like we all experience like heartbreak or things that didn't go well. And sometimes you just like in a mood to like feel in your soul, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm gonna lose a little fans for this, but I tried. But then again, I'm not her target audience. I'm a kid who grew up in the projects in New York City, so I am not her target audience. But I will say I've met a lot of Swifties, and yeah, especially online, you can't say nothing negative about her, or it will be over. I'll say that. But she's not a bad person. It's her fans that can get a little. You know what? It's kind of like politics, like you said earlier. It's kind of like people, the power some celebrities have over their fans, and it's not them, it's just their fans. It's crazy, it's insane. But enough about Swifties. You know, I'm not trying to get canceled here. Yeah, I ain't trying to get canceled here. Let's skip right along here. So let me ask you, what was the driving force? I know you kind of hinted at, you know, why you moved there, but what made you move to, you know, Minneapolis opposed to, like, you know, a lot of people want to go to LA, they want to go to Florida. What drove you to Minneapolis, to Minnesota?
Yeah, so in 2013 it was my dad's job got transferred out here, and it was that same gut feel. Like I felt in my heart that this is the direction that you're supposed to go, and that I went. And it's been great. It's been an adventure and a journey, and I had my son here, and
awesome.
Lots of adventures and challenges.
Yeah. Now, talking about challenges, I want to ask you a real question here, right? I noticed that I've had this discussion with a lot of my peers, especially the ones, you know, on the younger side, you know, under 50. And here's my opinion. I think that there's a certain age where you should not be running in positions of power. Not to say ageism, but, you know, do we need 80-some-year-old people running our country? And I say that with respect, you know, for my elders. But I'm curious for you, you know, being on the younger side, and especially being a woman, do you find it that you might have to run into, well, you will face challenges because you're not considered experience, if you will, in the sense that a lot of people want people who are 50, 45 and over, 50 and over for positions of power. Like, is that something you feel like is going to be an obstacle, or do you think that the times has shifted to now the people who are putting people in power are more in tune with what people want nowadays?
Yeah. Well, no matter what anyone does in life, you can always come up with reasons to count yourself out.
Yeah,
And come up with a logical list of reasons why something wouldn't work. Or like you can feel like this is the direction you're supposed to go and find reasons why it will work.
yeah,
And then move forward and like improve in real time and adjust. So I've had throughout my 20s a lot of personal challenges and have taken a variety of many years, about 8 years, to put my life in order and to
yeah,
bring myself to a place of peace. And I think once someone gets to that point, that's when it's like they always say, put your own house in order, right? Help yourself
yeah.
before you help others. Your own life jacket, your own air mask first on a plane. So I'm not perfect. I'm still a spicy little Italian lady, and but it's like, okay, I'm comfortable with the unknown and problem solving. And if you can problem solve, if you can think critically and you can improve over time, you can do anything. So
Yeah. That's beautifully said. I think we're in a definitely a more progressive society, and I think that as the newer generations come along, the generational shift is changing. I think the days of people feeling like women got to stay in the kitchen, and black people can't do this and stuff. I think those mentalities are starting to fade away at a fast rate.
yeah.
We'll see what happens, because politics, that's a whole it's a very touchy subject for a lot of people, and it's definitely something that for me, I don't really talk about it even in my personal life, because I see how upset certain people get. So for you, is that something like, and I know you're a mother and everything, but is that something like you have to separate, like when you're that candidate, when you're running for that office, that you have to put on a certain shoe and a certain hat, but when you get home, when you're in your personal life, you have to take that switch, you have to switch it off? Or is that something that you just have to kind of embrace throughout that whole time that you're pursuing this?
Yeah, so I don't know if you've heard of Andrew Bustamante. He worked for the CIA, and he talked about there's three levels people have. There's their public, there's their personal, and then there's their private selves. And so everybody kind of has those three levels. And not everybody should have access to your private self, right? That's like a part of you that you protect. And once you can get to the private level of you, you never forget those people. Never. And so that's why actually you have to be so wise in who you let to the closest parts of you, because those people can hurt and damage you if you don't use discernment.
Yeah,
So everybody has a public, right? And personal would be like we're on a personal level. And whereas private would be like, man, here's my disappointments, here's my challenges, like here's what I'm freaking going through, like that one secure adult that you can go to.
yeah,
But I have a lot of continuity. I am who I am. I'm pretty direct. We're from the East Coast. We'll tell you like it is.
yeah. That's true. But you Pennsylvania people, y'all know how to drive. What's going on with that? What's going on with that? Horrible, horrible.
Zoom zoom.
Yeah, drive like Vin Diesel and Fast and Furious. What's going on?
I get hate for that. I love zipping around because it's fun.
Yeah, that's to be fair. I'm from New York, so I drive the same way. It's just for me. It's like, man, I remember one time. This is the first time I actually experienced this. I was driving 2 summers ago. I was driving through PA to Myrtle Beach, and throughout like 30 minutes, I had someone riding me the whole time. And I'm just like, I kept going around them, try to let them pass, but then they go in the right lane. I get back in. And one time I'm like, I'm getting tired of this. So I get over to the right lane to see who's driving, and it's a woman. A woman. You got to speak up for that. How do you defend yourself?
Was it me?
I think so. She had the same hair, so it might have been
No, I'm
unbelievable.
guilty as charged. I can't even defend myself.
I was like, I've never seen women drive like this before. Pennsylvania, y'all got to get it together.
We gotta get it together.
Yeah,
Well, thank you for having me. This has been so fun.
yeah. I try, and I want to. For me, I always want to learn and show people in a different way because I think your public persona, right? People often think I'm conceited, cocky, that I think I'm better than other people. And it's like, no, I'm just like you. I
Yeah.
worked at a soup kitchen. I understand humility. I have respect for other people, no matter their social status, their platform, how many followers they got. I generally don't care. And I think for you, I think that is one of the reasons why I want to have you on because in the comments I saw people say, "Oh, that's Marissa right there." I'm like, oh, who is she? I gotta figure this out. And I
Aw.
think what you're doing is fantastic. And I think that we need, more women out there, and especially to give them a platform because I think oftentimes, not to get PG or woke, but I do think, and we touched on this earlier, where it's like when you're a good looking, woman, people kind of look at you one way and not to see the professional side, the personal side of you. And I think, hopefully I was able to get that across, not to give too much because you don't want to peel the onion back too much. But I think I hope expose a little bit of that of you. But you could give me a thumbs down to two thumbs up, it's whatever. Yeah, two thumbs up. I like that, you know?
Yeah, this has been fun. Like this is
Yeah.
what it's about, like connecting with people and having fun and shared
So
experiences.
yes. So before we go, because I don't want to leave it like this, this is not how I want to leave the episode, right? So let's have a little fun. I think I want to get to know if you had to choose music, movies, what is your favorite first?
Ah, I love like last night I sat and just listened to music and just
Music.
enjoyed. Yeah, I really love like just like dancing. I dance around my house and you just enjoy the moment.
Yeah, I dance around too, and then the neighbors hit the broom. What can you do?
Vacuum at 3 a.m. That's what you can do.
Yeah. I'm like, it's 6 o'clock. It's 6 o'clock in the evening. Why are you knocking? But it's all right. I get it. Now, what kind of music do you like?
Variety. Yeah, last night I just did some country. I did some kizomba. I did some Chris Brown. You just flow with the moment. You make yourself a snack and you have a nice drink of water and put some candles on for a mood and just enjoy.
All
Yeah.
right. So let's have a little fun. And the reason why I was poking and prodding in that because I started doing a new segment on the show, right? Where I put people in the hot seat. So it's your turn. And so you like music. You say you like flavor, you like variety. So it makes it easier for me to pit these two choices. So this segment, what I do is I give you two names and you choose which one you like.
Okay.
And so, you might get a little backlash if you don't pick someone's favorite, but you're in the hot seat. So it's your turn. You ready?
Okay.
All right. So we got Elvis Presley and let's do Bob Marley,
Ah, okay. Bob Marley.
Nicki Minaj, or Rihanna.
I'm going to say Rihanna.
Let's do Michael Jackson or Prince.
I'm going to say Prince because he's from Minnesota.
No, no, you're lying. Okay. You know
Right?
what? You're in the hot seat. I can't give my opinion. Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson. Oh man, my one of my friends. He might DM you. He might have some words for you. All right, Tupac Shakur or Notorious B.I.G.
Tupac.
I agree with that one. Lady Gaga. This might be easy. Lady Gaga or Taylor Swift.
Oh no, that's a setup.
Hey, you asked. You're in the hot seat. You got to do it.
Oh my gosh. I'm gonna say Lady Gaga just to be controversial.
Ooh, you you gonna be in real trouble now. Just for the record, I'm putting this on Instagram, so just be careful. All right, be careful. Let's do this. All right, Kanye West or Stevie Wonder.
Kanye. Yes.
So we got Miley Cyrus or Madonna.
I'm going to say Madonna.
You know what? Let's do this. Miley Cyrus or Ariana Grande.
Oh, that's a better one.
Yeah.
For some reason, I'm going to say Ariana Grande. This is like being at the glasses. One or two.
Yeah, that's true. I can't argue with that. Mac Miller, rest in peace. They had some good hits, so I can't get mad at that. Now we're gonna get into a little hip hop.
Okay.
Eminem or Jay-Z.
I'm gonna say Eminem.
Really?
Yep.
All right. Let's do Drake or Kendrick Lamar.
Drake.
Oh, you're starting trouble now.
Start a riot.
You know what? I already know what's going to happen when I see these comments. All right. So let's do Lil Wayne or J. Cole.
I'm going to say J. Cole.
J. Cole. I got to go with Lil Wayne on that one. I like J. Cole, but Lil Wayne, I grew up on him. You know, I maybe I'm a little biased, but, But how about Coldplay and the Beastie Boys?
Let's say Coldplay.
Coldplay for the top dog. Now, for the major one, I'm trying to think who are the two major hip hop artists of all time. Let's do Drake and Tupac Shakur.
Huh. I like the song Ride For Me by Tupac. There's a remix on YouTube that's just, it will hit you in your heart.
Yeah, Tupac is a generational talent. I have like 5 songs of his, and he's one of those that I feel like he's like Pop Smoke to me. I don't know if you know Pop Smoke, but gone way too young, way too soon. But this is what happens when you leave a legacy, and that's what I'm trying to do. The most charismatic man, I'm trying to leave a legacy too. So it's been fun, Marissa.
Thank you.
It's been awesome. Even if you give me 2 thumbs down, I'm still a fan. All right, I'll be voting, even though I don't live there. We all know about the corruption in politics, but FBI might be watching, so let me shut up.
Or the CIA.
Yeah, especially you, because you're getting up there, so be careful. So like, what do you have going on? I know you mentioned you're starting your run. But what are some things that you got going on? Whether it's politics, maybe something you want to share that's outside of politics. Like, what do you got? What are you looking forward to in 2025?
Yeah, this year I'm looking forward to enjoying the beautiful things in Minnesota, Minnehaha Falls, and just living a meaningful, fun life. No.
Yeah, I hope you well. I wish you well on your journey, and I want people to see you as the person you are. And I hope that I was able to shed a little light on that. And where can people find you? Where can people connect with you? And all that good fun stuff.
Yeah, everyone can find me on social media. If you just search my name, Marisa Simonetti, on any platform, I'll pop right up.
Yes, that's Marissa. I'm the Prince of Fresh Air. If you don't like that, don't worry. She's gonna race against you anyway. We'll see you later. I try. But thank you, Marissa. I hope I wish you well on your journey, and I hope to see you at the top of 2026. And when you get to that top, don't forget about the little guy. All right.
That's right.
So I'll give you the final word. Any positive message you want to leave to your fans, supporters, or people discovering you for the first time. I'll leave you with the last word.
Aw, yeah. No, thanks for having me. And I'd say just find fun and find friends, and the rest figures itself out.